Okay, so we need to talk about the second half of February. It's going to be wild astrologically. So on the 17th, we've got the Lunar New Year starting, which is a fire horse year. We've got on the 17th also a solar eclipse in Aquarius. On the 26th, we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0° Aries. Also on the 26th, we've got a Mercury retrograde starting. And then on the 27th, we've got Mars squared Uranus. So look, it's going to be a wild ride through the end of February and March. But what we have to do is we have to learn to ground ourselves. We have to follow our path, not get taken astray by any other energies that are going on. But we have to prepare, okay? It's going to be wild. Welcome to Optimal Timelines. My name is Sean, and this is going to be your February 2026 tarot readings for your North Node by sign and house for the second half of February. Now, if you're new to my channel, the reason I use the North Node in tarot readings as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant sign is that it's recognized in astrology. Your North Node is your North Star. It's what you're here to learn, accomplish, and master in this lifetime. So it's much more relevant to your everyday life as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, and much more accurate in tarot readings. Now remember, you're going to want to watch two readings, one for your North Node by sign and one for your North Node by house. So with that, let's dive in. I'm going to connect to the energies and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides, guardians, and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see and hear these readings, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Aries and or the first house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you for the second half of February is the Nine of Wands reversed. And what I'm feeling like for you North Nodes in Aries and or the first house is that there's going to be something that happens the next 2 weeks, the second half of February, where it's like an old repeating pattern or kind of an old situation. So for some of you, it could be a situation that is repeating or that has a like a place in your past history, or it could be something new that's very similar that has to do with like past patterns. And what I'm seeing is that it's actually a very positive reading. You're being asked to recognize patterns within the situations of your life and also within yourself. Like, what do I mean by that? We've all, done this in our life where we get into patterns, right? We of ways of being. It's because, it's kind of like we live our lives, we are who we are, and we have natural ways of responding to life and life situations. And so we've all like caught ourselves like saying, "Look, why did I do that or say that? I should know better." All of us have kind of been in that situation. And this is kind of like that. If you can recognize a pattern and kind of go in a different direction before you repeat something similar. So whether that be with a person or situation that you already know, or whether it's new, you have to recognize the pattern. And when you can do that, it can really like level you up. So let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. Okay, so you've got the World card reversed. You've got the Knight of Wands upright. And you've got the 10 of Cups upright. Now, the World card reversed is actually a positive card when it's reversed, but it's like a delayed thing. It's like, the world that you want to create, your ultimate world of where you feel complete, you can work towards that. And it's something to where, throughout our lives, none of us get the quote unquote, complete life type of a thing. But what we do is we keep getting closer and closer and closer as we refine ourselves and our life. Hopefully, like we move closer to that. And what this is saying is that by you recognizing this pattern, which we'll get into what that is, when you recognize it, it can bring you closer to the world that you truly want to be in, that's for your highest good and highest happiness, right? So let's look at your other cards on your timeline here. You've got the Knight of Wands, as I said, upright. Now, all of, wands represent all of the fire signs, so Aries and the first house being among them. And the knights are cards of movement, and they're also cards of, like, they kind of represent the heroes in the tarot deck. Okay, these are the heroes, and this is saying, like, you're being asked to look at yourself and put yourself um as the hero in some situation, which means this might mean taking ignition, initiative, setting boundaries. It might mean, being strong within yourself. You're being asked to step up. That's what this card is saying. Step up to the plate. Don't back down to something. It's like, we've all read these stories, like in the news, where a situation happens. Maybe there's like a fire in a building, and someone runs in and saves the cats, or saves a child or something like that, or there's some sort of an emergency, and a hero steps up, right? But there's other heroes in life. It's like, kind of like, several months ago, I saw a video where there was this irate customer that was just being really, mean, and berating someone who was working in as a coffee, shop, okay, as a barista. And everyone else was just kind of standing around where this person was, really berating him. And then someone stood up and just said, you need to leave. You need to, like, not treat this person like this, and stood up. And so we can be this hero for ourselves and other people. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to, rescue cats out of a burning building, but we can be heroes in every day in our life, right? Now, this 10 of cups up here, okay, this is emotional fulfillment, okay? And this is one of the things that, as you step into your personal hero character and your personal hero journey as an Aries North Node, or North Node in the first house, this is going to give you the emotional fulfillment in life that you want. When you don't, like when you miss opportunities to step into that role, it's not going to be fulfilling, okay? Now, that might sound easy, like, oh, I can do that. But the difficult part is that this role doesn't come naturally to most people that have a South Node in Libra, or the seventh house. Okay, so that South Node, the reason is because they might take the more kind of diplomatic thing. Well, I don't need to really confront this situation, or I'm going to take the peaceful road, right? Now, trust me, in this world, there is a time for, peace and harmony and, diplomacy, okay? But there's also a time when we have to step up, okay? And that's kind of the role that you've been given. Now, your two advice cards are going to explain a little bit more kind of what the situation could entail. You've got the Seven of Swords upright, and you've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So this Seven of Swords is saying that most likely this is going to have to do with some sort of communication, or something like a communication, whether that be verbal, whether that be on the phone or through text or email, something like that, okay, directly. And it's going to be kind of a negative thing, where maybe it could be, for some of you, like, there could be a kind of a put down that you have to deal with, or for other people, you might have to stand up for something that you believe in. But there's an underhanded kind of sneaky quality to this communication. Maybe it's like someone who's constantly like kidding, like, but they're saying, like, maybe like underhanded, like, insults or something. For each of you, it's going to be different. And when that happens, so let's just say how this could kind of play out. Let's say that someone is constantly, like, kidding around and they'll say something that's kind of negative, and you kind of blow it off like, okay, this is Libra South Node, or in the 7th house, let's say, we're going to our South Node now. Oh, well, I'm going to let it slide. It's not really worth it. I don't really want to like cause a big thing in this, right? But at some point, the hero steps up and says, no, like you can't say that to me, to her, to them. You can't do this, okay? And it's very uncomfortable because now you're stepping into that role of, having that heroic initiative, okay? Whether that be for yourself or others. And then this Queen of Pentacles reversed is, I think that this is breaking up the serenity of something, of a situation. So the way that this situation is going to play out is I feel like it's going to be like, and I know you've all felt this. If you have your North Node in Aries or the 1st house, you've felt where you've been going along and you feel good. You got your Libra South Node ruled by Venus, and everything is chill and everything's balanced, right? And someone comes in to break up the peace or the balance, okay? And then you're being asked to like act. This is very common for North Nodes in Aries and or the 1st house, where they are cruising along in their life, and all of a sudden it's like hitting an object in the road or a speed bump at high speeds, where it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And it's like this breaking up this peace. And so you're being asked to, when that happens, okay, you have to take some sort of an action. Don't walk away from it. So yeah, this is a great opportunity. It's a really positive reading. Just remember, don't go back into old patterns. When you feel that need to act, even if you're not sure how to do it, or if you feel unsure about it, you will always be rewarded for action and for taking your beliefs and your instincts and putting them forward. You'll always be rewarded for that. Impulsiveness is a good word for you in this lifetime. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value. And thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership and supporting the channel, would be greatly appreciated. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Taurus and or the 2nd house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the High Priestess reversed. One of the meanings of this card, and I feel like it's really, accurate and relevant to this reading for you, is one of the meanings is personal power with the High Priestess. It's a balance of power. And power is a huge thing when we look at the polarity of Taurus and Scorpio, or the 2nd house and the 8th house. Personal power and the power of the will is something that comes up quite a bit. And what I feel like for you is that you're learning this, the second half of February. There's going to be a situation that's going to require you to tap into your personal power. But the difference between expressing your personal power in a Taurus energy or a Scorpio energy is different. In the Scorpio energy, which is your South Node or the 8th house, power is always in relations to other people, like you and the other. Myself and my spouse, myself and the company I work for, myself and my family. It's always like in relation. And so there's this play of power in that regards. Okay. But in this lifetime, we're talking about independent power. Okay. Independent power and self-love and self-confidence type of a thing, okay? And so that's really what we're looking at when we look at this energy. And I feel like this is going to play out, this independent personal power, flexing of personal power in the second half of February. Let's look at your timeline card. So you've got the Page of Cups upright. You've got the World card reversed. And you've got the Two of Pentacles upright. So what's going on here is that we'll start with the Page and the Two of Pentacles. This is pointing to the world, in the sense that your world, what it is you're trying to create in your world, what it is that you're trying to refine within yourself, in your life. This is all leading toward, working toward this refinement of your world. And the Page is saying that this is, there is an amount of emotional immaturity that you may have to deal with in this situation with somebody. And so it's not necessarily negative, but it's almost like giving me the feeling of like, it's like a childlike immaturity, which, this is very difficult to deal with a lot of times, because as mature individuals, when we're trying to deal with someone, and in this case, I feel like for many of you, it could be an adult who is immature. It's difficult because it's like, you have to almost treat them like a child, but they're not a child and they should know better. Okay. And so I think that's part of this situation of this, flexing of this personal power. And it's almost like, you know, this independent power that you're being asked to move towards. It's almost like you're above this energy. And so this is one of the things that can draw you in. Like, I know we've all experienced this, but especially you North nodes in Taurus, or the second house, where you somehow got sucked into a situation. It could be an argument or a discussion or whatever, just a situation in general. And you're like, how did I get myself involved in this? And you're realizing, wow, like, you know, this situation and this person is just really below me, and it's very immature. And it's not in a arrogant way, but it's almost like it's very easy to get sucked in when we have, a south node in Scorpio, or the 8th house. And so that's number one. Now, the number two thing with this two of Pentacles is that there could be an element of dealing with financial matters. For some of you, it could be property or things of value. And when I mean things of value, for some of you, it might not be physical, tangible things like money, finances, or property, but for a lot of you, it could be things of value like your time, your attention, and your love. And you're like weighing this out. And like, that's what I was meaning about that last example, where you're just like, all of a sudden you find yourself, I'm like, you're like, why did I get sucked into this? And like, I've got better things to do and more important things to do. And so this is kind of what we're talking about. And what this is that when you realize that your time and your love and everything that you have to give personally, whether that be tangible or non-tangible, whether these are things of value, and you don't want to just like throw them away. Okay. And so this is what this is talking about. And then you say, I'm going to stand in my power, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to walk away from this situation. That is this Taurus personal power, because it's independent and you're being able to like step away from it. Now, to get even more clarity, we'll look at your advice card. So you've got the Queen of Swords upright, and you've got the Temperance card. The Temperance card is saying like, okay, this is going to require, patience. It's going to require tact, and it's going to be something that, needs to be recognized and handled with care, not haphazardly. Okay. It's something where, just like the word temperance means, and it's going to be like, you need to temper yourself and the situation. Okay. And make sure that, this is a great thing for you North nodes in Taurus, or the second house, for your whole life, is making sure that you're keeping temperate throughout your life, because it's very easy to get, to get drawn in or like sucked into situations, and then you regret them. And then this Queen of Swords is saying, again, stepping into your power, where the Queen of Swords is emotionally detached from a situation, yet she is understanding it. She's communicating clearly. She's thinking clearly. Okay, this is everything that swords have to deal with. So this is what it's going to require of you, is staying temperate and emotionally detached from whatever this is. And then you're going to be able to get through this. But the value in it for you is getting back to this world card, is it's getting you closer to um, building upon a foundation for a better world, okay? Because that's really what we're all doing, right? We're all just trying to build the best life possible, to build the best world around us, okay? We're all doing that in our own different way. And that's what this situation is. So act independently, flex your personal power independent from others, stay emotionally detached, think things through, and you're going to be able to like navigate this situation. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you just like to show the channel some love, and by the way, I have a membership program where I have members-only videos and lots of other perks. There's going to be links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Gemini and or the third house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Death card reversed. Now, like I always explain on my channel, the so-called scary cards in the tarot deck are nothing to fear, okay? These cards are not literal. They're archetypal energies. Like, for example, like Death is regarding transformation. The Tower is about, change or sudden change, which can be good or negative, right? And also the Devil card, it's not talking about a literal devil or demon. Okay, these are archetypal cards. And the Death card, as I said, is just simply talking about transformation. Everything in our life, when we make changes, we have to the old ways have to die in order to bring in the new ways. Okay, that's the way transformation happens. If somebody, an example that I'll give quickly so you can understand this really clearly is, let's say that there's a student who first year, college, university student, and they're just kind of like cruising, mom and dad are paying the bills, and and all of a sudden one of their professors says, you might want to your grades are iffy, you have a lot of potential, but you might want to really start putting more effort in and, taking this more seriously, right? And so they get this wake up call, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, yeah, wow, like I need to grow up and I need to make things more serious, make my academic career more serious. So the old student ways had to die in order to bring in the new. The old has to always go away. And that's what this is saying. Now, what this is saying for me in this reading is that there is an aspect of yourself and your life that needs transformation. Okay. And a lot of you may even know what that is as I'm talking about it, but there's a certain area of life to where it needs to transform in some way. Now, that doesn't mean go away necessarily. Okay, for each of you it's going to be different, but it needs to be worked on and transformed. Okay, now let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity here. So you've got the Star card reversed, you've got the Lovers card upright, and you've got the Ten of Swords reversed. Okay, so I think that the thing that needs to be transformed is something in a relationship. Now, the Lover's card doesn't necessarily always mean a romantic partnership, okay? Like a marriage, a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that, okay? It can mean other things. It can mean other relationships in our life. The reason I say that is because there are several cards in the tarot deck that talk about relationships, but what makes the Lover's card different is that there is something that is very karmically involved. So if it's a friendship that we're talking about, it could be something to where there are past life ties, or there's something very karmic. People in relationships come into our life that are non-karmic and some that are karmic, okay? And so that this is a relationship that's karmic, but I think for a lot of you it could mean like a significant other. It could even mean like relationships with parents, okay? So the lovers card, it doesn't always mean lovers, right? Now the other thing that's talking about karmic is you've got the star card, reversed. And again, like the star, we are talking about like, karmic ties here, okay? And so something within a relationship in your life needs some sort of transformation, okay? And as I said, most of the time, a lot of times relationships, especially those that are karmic, um, don't need to end, but they need to be refined and kind of tweaked and worked on, okay? And I think we've all experienced at least one relationship in our life, whether that be with a significant other or a family member and all that, where they go through this transformation like process, okay? um and the reason I say that is because you've got this 10 of swords reversed. The 10 of swords reversed is that, something has like reached the end of where it can go. And now when it's reversed, it's saying, okay, we've kind of hit the bottom of this thing, and now it's like it's got to go somewhere, okay? And again, that's what a lot of these relationships are, where sometimes it's like, okay, we can't really go on like this. And so that's where that transformation comes. And so, for some of you, it could be like a family member. It could be, a parent-child relationship. It could be, but we're talking about close karmic ties. And for a lot of you, it could be in the romantic relationship. And as I said, just something has to transform. Now, the good news is that when we take these karmic relationships and when we can transform them in a positive way, all it does is strengthen them. Like when it's like getting through this storm and getting past it. If we don't transform things that need to be transformed, whatever they are in our lives, they will stagnate and they will decay. Okay. And so that's what this is saying is like, okay, this is time. Something needs to give here type thing. Okay. Now your two advice cards are, you've got the 7 of swords reversed, and you've got the magician card reversed. Now, these are interesting cards because what this is saying is, whatever this relationship is for you, this is instructing you, like, kind of what not to do in order to transform it. The first thing is this 7 of swords reversed. It's saying that don't don't be sneaky about it. Like this isn't a time for like hinting around or whatever, or like dropping hints, hoping they'll get it, or doing innuendos. Okay, so we're talking about like, communication of all sorts, like sneaky or kind of underhanded communication. And what I mean sneaky is like dropping an innuendo about and hoping people will get it, when you really should just come out and say like, hey, you know what, like this situation, let's like lay everything on the table and like talk about it, okay? So there's that kind of an element. It's telling you don't go that route, don't go the sneaky route. And this is also saying this because the reversed magician is saying like, don't get tricky with this. Don't get like, oh, okay, I'm gonna like, you know do something that in order to like, I'll again like dropping hints, or this is also like no negative communication. So like, just hoping that they'll get it, like like underhanded comments or anything that's kind of underhanded or sneaky in some way. Also manipulative. That's one of the things that, this is saying. Okay. Now, this is also saying that the person that you have to are dealing with possibly within this situation may be doing that also. Okay. So this might not even be you. This might be something to where they're doing it. And so this is where, when people get like, manipulative, tricky, sneaky, all of that in a situation, the time is like saying, wait a minute, like, come on, like, let's not play games here. We need to just like work on this maturely and, lay everything out and talk about it, and no like playing games, and you can see this a lot, like a lot of times, when people are younger and they're dating people, they'll like play games like, I'm not going to call her or him, or I'm going to do this or that and make them jealous, or whatever it is. It's the games people play, right? So it's saying like, this isn't a time for games, and the other person in the situation may be guilty of that to some extent, okay? Or they may be trying to use like, manipulation tactics, but you got to clear all that, okay? The time is over for that, okay? So anyway, do that, and you're going to see that when this situation is transformed, this has the ability to really like bring that relationship to a new level. I feel like there could be this renewal of a relationship, and clearing out a lot of like past karma. So yeah, really really positive. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. And speaking of showing love, I have a membership program where I have exclusive videos for members only. And if you'd like to check out that membership program, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for all your support. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the 4th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Strength card reversed. And I feel like the second half of February, there's going to be a situation you have to deal with. I feel like it is within a relationship in your life that is going to require you to kind of be extra understanding, extra nurturing. And a lot of times, in life, like when people don't make it easy to be kind, compassionate, and nurturing, right? And that's what this card is saying. You can see that, the maiden on the Strength card is, you know, subduing the lion not through physical strength. I mean, she's not like Samson, okay? Or she's not some like huge person, using physical strength, but the Strength card is talking about she's using understanding, she's using compassion, she's using delicateness, which is calming this ferocious lion down. And it can be difficult because, especially when we're dealing with people in our lives that you know don't respond right away, to that. And it could be difficult because it can be like, a lot of times people give up on that. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that there's a difficult person that you're dealing with, and you decide to, I'm going to take the kind high road, or just be understanding, and you try to deal with them um, in a mature and kind of level-headed way. And when you try to deal with them, that's completely rejected, and they could get insulting and all of that. And what happens a lot of times is then people say, okay, fine. And then they just abandon that road. Okay. I know personally that's happened to me many times in life, where I've tried to deal with a situation like that, and the person just rejects it. Sometimes I, have walked away. Other times I've gotten sucked in, and I've just said, okay, fine, and so what this is saying is that, don't say, okay, fine. This is saying, like, this is going to require you to take on this role of, being this nurturing type role. And this is exactly what your North Node in, Cancer in the 4th house entails in this lifetime. Let's get some more details on how the situation can kind of play out. So you've got the 2 of Swords upright. You've got the Lover's card upright. And you've got the Ace of Swords reversed. So yeah, obviously with the Lover's card, you could see here, for many of you, it's going to be very, very close relationships in your life. Okay. For some of you, it could be like a significant other. I mean, this makes sense. We're in the second half of February, and then it's, Valentine's Day. Okay. For some of you, it's going to be romantic partnerships. But the Lover's card, as I always say, doesn't necessarily mean romantic partnerships, even though it says lovers. The reason is because this also has to do with really, really close, important karmic relationships. Not all of our relationships are necessarily karmic, where we have karmic ties to everybody in our life. So these are relationships that have karmic ties. But for a lot of you, this is going to have to do with, your significant, partnership. Okay. And so there's going to be a situation where it's going to require you to, again, kind of take on this role of being kind of more understanding and nurturing, but strong. And the image would be like the strong, nurturing mother. This is the archetype image that I'm getting from this reading. It's like the mother who's not only like nurturing and compassionate, but has the complete package of being the strong mother that can discipline when she needs to, or stand up to her children when she needs to. There's that. It's that type of nurturing. Or like the spouse that needs to, even though they're being understanding, they have to say no and set boundaries. Okay, so it's not just about being kind, nice, and compassionate, but it's the complete package of also being able to be strong and saying no, you're not going to get away with that. It's that type of an archetype. Now, these two cards here, so you've got the Ace of Swords and then you've got the Two of Swords. The person you could be dealing with, okay, first of all, with the Two of Swords, they might be a little bit emotionally like cut off in some way, or even sometimes over emotional. Okay, that could be. So there's something to do with emotions, like, or they're not refusing to, there's like a stubbornness of like refusing to see things clearly, in a way. And it's a difficult, it's like this, not being able to connect with them in the situation emotionally. There's some sort of emotional kind of disconnect, and also through communication. And that's where this Ace of Swords is also, it's talking about like there could be some sort of negative communication that's also could be triggering. So it could be challenging, okay, for you. The other thing this is saying too is it's saying that the Ace of Swords is also about like knowing kind of when to use and flex power in the way of like being slightly more aggressive. Okay, so it's like knowing the use of power. When does the mother need to be, if she's dealing with a child, or she's dealing with some other relationship, when does she need to be like strong and forceful, or when does she need to like back off? And this is, it's something, this is a skill that you North Nodes in Cancer and the fourth house are learning in this lifetime. So your two advice cards are, you've got two beautiful cards. You've got the Empress and you've got the Sun card. Now, this is that archetypal mother I was talking about, okay, the Empress, where she is strong and nurturing and sitting in her power. And this is one of the things that you're learning in this lifetime. You're learning that there is a tremendous amount of power in emotions, in compassion, in intuition, in all of these things that aren't normally based in your feelings of your South Node, which is Capricorn or 10th house, right? Which everything is just like black and white, cut dry, on off type of a thing. And you're learning that there is lots of other ways to accomplish things. It's not just about everything that Capricorn and the planet Saturn says to do. And so this is something to where, this is literally you, when you learn this skill of being able to deal with situations and difficult people within situations with this delicacy. It's a huge, huge power. And then this Sun card is a beautiful card, because what this is saying is that when you step into this role of, being able to have this other power of being able to handle difficult situations and difficult people with emotional strength, and without having to use just kind of like black and white, force through your words and actions and things like that, what it does is it really kind of makes you radiant. And that's what I'm getting from this reading is that it makes you draw people and situations to you in a really, positive way, because the sun, obviously being the center of our solar system and the giver of life, when you are able to step into this type of energy, it gives you this radiance in your life. And again, this is something that's not talked about or thought about by practical Capricorn or Saturn, right? The planet Saturn. But when you step into this role, it's something that can really add to who you are as a person, and bring like lots of strength and joy to those around you. So this is something that's really interesting to add to kind of all of the skills that you're gaining in this lifetime. So yeah, really, really exciting stuff. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links down below. Also, I have a membership program where I have member-only exclusive videos. If you'd like to support the channel by being a member, that would be most appreciated. So thank you so much. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Leo and or the 5th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Page of Wands. And this is a card of inspiration. It's a card of confidence. It's a card of sharing yourself. It's a card of creativity. And remember, you North Nodes in Leo and or the 5th house, you are the stars of all of the North Nodes. Okay, you're here to be seen, to be heard, to share your gifts that are inside you. Now, I know a lot of you don't feel like you just don't want to go and be seen and go to the forefront, but that's what you're here to do. And I feel like what's going on is you're ready for a breakthrough. Okay, you're ready for a breakthrough where a lot of you, way deep inside yourself, you have these kinds of seeds of greatness that want to be sprouted. And I think that it's time to do that. Now, the interesting thing about North Nodes in Leo is that one of the things that a lot of you experience is you could experience throughout your lifetime a lot of envy and jealousy. And that's what kind of keeps a lot of you stuck, because as you naturally shine. Remember, your ruling star, okay, is the sun, right? And so this makes you naturally kind of charismatic. And so if a lot of people that I talk to that have this North Node have realized they've had to deal with a lot of like envy and jealousy throughout their life, because as you begin to flex yourself and to shine, it's like people want to dampen that brightness. Okay, and so this is a test that you have to overcome. You have to overcome the challenge of stepping out and being able to not let people dampen your brightness or dim your shine. Okay, now let's look at the timeline here. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the 3 of Swords upright. You've got the Hermit card upright. And you've got the 4 of Wands upright. So this is what I'm talking about dimming, your star. Is one of the things about North Nodes in Leo or the 5th house is you're here to be very kind of heart-centered as opposed to more kind of mind-centered. And when I say heart-centered, not necessarily in an intuitive way, but like, a lot of you are learning to like be open-hearted and wear your heart on your sleeves, and to be to share yourself, because to be open-hearted is to be vulnerable. And so I think that this second half of February, what you're dealing with is that a lot of you are sharing parts of yourself, and what happens is there could be like a naysayer, or someone says something kind of negative, and then your old pattern would be to crawl back into your shell and to like not share this inner light that you have. And so what you're here to do right now is you're here to overcome that. When someone criticizes you or is a naysayer, or when you begin to share part of yourself, you can't take that to heart. And this is where your south node in Aquarius can come in, where you can learn to emotionally detach from negativity. It's almost like, in a way, like they say, I've heard a lot of like famous people say, don't read reviews or don't read about yourself online, because you're going to get, this whole wide range. People are going to like worship you, and or they're going to really like put you down, right? And so either way is bad. You're just here to share your gift. Yes, you can. It's nice when people appreciate you and all of that, but you're here not to worry about, taking the temperature of, do they like me or do they don't like me. You do your thing and stand in your power. And this is one of the things that you've had to really learn in this lifetime, is when these kind of stings come, you have to learn to like rise above them. And that's where the hermit comes in. So we talked about a shining light, right? Well, the hermit here is, carrying the light of illumination, of their wisdom, of everything that is inside them, and they're using it to their advantage. They're using this lantern that's lit, through their wisdom and illumination, and they're using it to see their way. But you notice that one thing about a lantern with the light in it is it's protected. Okay, so it's able to shine, and so it's being vulnerable, but at the same time it is protected. The wind just can't come blow it out. And so that's what I'm talking about here, is a lot of you have let other people blow your candle out, right? As opposed to, you need to protect it and honor it, okay? And not just let it be blown out. Now, the Four of Wands over here is saying that, this is a card, yes, of celebration, but it's a card of solidifying yourself and celebrating who you are as a person as you move through life. One of the things that you're learning to do, North Nodes in the fifth house or Leo, is to look at life like a game or a celebration. And that doesn't mean you take, life for granted or you take it too lightly, but approach it in a playful, lighthearted way, okay? And that's what this is saying. And when you do that, this is when you are laying the foundation for, yes, life happens, okay, but you're laying the foundation for building on that strength, because this is a four card, and so we're building on a foundation. And so this is what's saying, is you rise above that. And so being lighthearted is, someone says something positive, you take it in stride. Thank you very much. You don't let it go to your head, or you don't get too absorbed in it, right? Same thing when someone says something negative, okay? You're just like, okay, I hear you. And you could feel your feelings, but you're like, that's not going to really, I know who I am. And this is about knowing who you are and not letting people kind of sway you one way or the other. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Nine of Wands reversed, and you've got the Strength card, okay? The Nine of Wands reversed is saying, okay, the reason that this situation is coming up is because this is about pattern recognition, about learning how you've let people like dim your light, blow out your candle in the past, okay? And how you're not going to let people do that anymore. So it's learning from this pattern. So when these situations come up, you have to learn like to step, be detached. That's your south node. Be emotionally detached and move on your path. And so that's where, the Strength card, comes in here, is that a lot of times, like life and people around us, they're acting from their shadow side, okay? And so the way to handle that is to really kind of go at it, head on, without avoiding it. So it's not like, okay, this person said this, I'm going to go back in my shell. I'm not going to share who I am. I'm going to get really hurt about it. And it's also like not, fully, I guess, attacking the person like verbally or like mentally in some way. It's about moving through life with grace, meaning that it's almost like when someone who says something that you don't really kind of respect what they say, and you kind of like laugh about it. The only things that really kind of like hurt us a lot of times are when it comes from people that we're close to or people that we care about. But if some like random person, says something, a lot of us just kind of go, yeah, whatever, type of thing. That's how you have to kind of go through life, is with this gracefulness and just kind of taking everything in stride, because what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with very, very strong energies. And remember, with your natural charisma, you're going to attract, and you have the ability to attract followers, but you also have the ability to attract detractors and people that may envy you. Okay. All of this has to be taken in stride. And the second half of February, this is what you're here to do. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership program, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Empress card reversed. One of the meanings of the Empress card is it's about standing or sitting in our personal power, sitting in the gifts and surrounding ourselves with the gifts that were given us. And a lot of you North nodes in Virgo and or the 6th house bring a lot of gifts from past life incarnations, okay, into this life. You have a lot of this like wisdom. And in fact, the North Node in Virgo or the 6th house can be one of the kind of more difficult ones, is because you're bringing a lot of different experiences into this lifetime. Okay, remember your South nodes in Pisces or the 12th house. And so these experiences give you a lot of gifts, but it also brings a lot of baggage. Okay, so in this lifetime, what you're here to do is you are here to embody in the physical realm what is spiritual. You're here to embody the wisdom of past lives, but in a very practical way, Virgo or the 6th house. And so that is kind of a difficult thing to do sometimes, because there's so much. And a lot of you have had really intense experiences, not only in past lives, but also, as you came into this lifetime. So this month is about you really kind of stepping into your personal power and how that applies in the real world and in your life. Let's look at your timeline and we'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Judgment card reversed. You've got the Queen of Pentacles upright. And you've got the Tower card upright. So I'm going to start with this Queen of Pentacles. Pentacles rule all of the earth signs, okay? And Virgo in the 6th house, being one of them. And so this card is representing what you're trying to build in this lifetime, which is to be very grounded in reality, in everyday life, to your body, to earth, your health, okay? And as I said, bringing in that wisdom from Pisces in the 12th house and making it into reality into this lifetime. So essentially standing and sitting in your power, because we can see that there's some, correlation between, the Queen of Pentacles here and the Empress. Now, what I'm getting is for the second half of February here is, it seems like the universe has been trying to get your attention on some things, okay? And that's what the Judgment card is. It's about this awakening, about realizing something about ourselves and our life and our situation, okay? But when it's reversed here, it's kind of like, okay, some of you maybe aren't getting the hints, because that's what will happen as we're going on our path. Life will put things there for us to learn and experience. so we can change patterns, right? And so, there'll be different things that life will do to kind of get our attention. And so I think that there's going to be like kind of some wake up call. You have the Tower card, and the Tower isn't anything to fear. It's a card of like awakening, and sometimes like awakenings can be kind of gentle, like hello, or they could be kind of like a little bit more of a wake up call, like, oh wow, I didn't see that. And so when this kind of wake up call comes in, you need to just pay attention to it, and more importantly, like, learn what it's trying to tell you. Okay, we've all experienced these wake up calls throughout our whole life. I have, everyone has, right? And so when they come, it's like, look at them like a blessing. Like, the way I like to describe it is, a lot of times, like, this will be perfect for you, this example, because your north node's in Virgo and or the sixth house and Virgo rule health and healing. When we have an issue in our life, health wise, it's not that we're being punished, it's that our body is simply trying to give us a signal that, hey, like, there's an issue here that needs to be addressed. But our natural thing as humans is, like, for example, if we cut ourselves, we get really mad. We're like, why did I do that? And obviously none of us like to go through health things or get injured in any way. But the pain that we're going through when we injure ourselves is there to give us a signal that there is some sort of an issue going on, right? Now, the same thing is true when we're getting these like wake up calls from the universe, like on an emotional and mental level. It's there to tell us, like, to bring our attention, like, hey, you need to fix this and put a band-aid on this, and heal this, right? And so that's what I'm thinking, like, this is something to be look at in a positive way. It's something that just is coming to your attention to be healed. Okay, now for each of you, that situation is going to be different, but anything that comes the second half of February into to March, look at it like this kind of awakening to where, okay, what can I learn from this type of a thing? Now let's look at your advice cards. You've got the Ace of Swords upright, and you've got the Moon reversed. So the Moon reversed, this is what I'm talking about. Something that was hidden from you is now going to come to light. Something about yourself, about other people, about a situation, about your work. For each of you, it's going to be different. There could be multiple things that are going to come to life. And when these things come to life and you learn about them, it could be like, whoa, okay, that's that kind of shock factor, and it's like, that's that awakening. And pay attention to it. Pay attention and saying, like, okay, don't fight it, don't deny it, don't try to stuff it down and shelve it, okay, but really, like, say, okay, I need to pay attention to this, and this is something that needs to be worked on, okay? And so that there is something that is going to come to light. Now, the Ace of Swords is saying two things. Okay, number one, this is going to require some action on your part, because we have, the Ace of Swords is about, setting boundaries and, holding a sword of like when to take action, when not to take action. But there's also a mental and verbal component to this, meaning that it's like learning to mentally process what this is, and to understand it, and not just fluff it off like, oh, whatever, like the universe has things against me, or something like that. Like, don't just blow it off, but really kind of pay attention to it. And that's like mentally comprehending it, and then, like, taking the correct action, and then also, like, communicating in the situation. I think this situation for each of you is going to involve some sort of communication. Okay, so as I said, when this happens, this is going to be a real kind of blessing in your life, and just don't look at it like something that is negative, but like something to where now you can address something that has needed to be addressed for a while. Okay, anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership program with exclusive videos, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the 8 of Swords reversed. And this is this is a card of coming out of a situation, mentally and even like emotionally and even physically, from something that was kind of keeping us kind of trapped. But it's traditionally what's known as like a trap or prison of our own making, because you can see on the card here that the person here, their bindings are very, very loose, meaning that they can get out of them at any time, and also they're not completely encircled by swords. So it's something to where we sometimes, think that we are trapped when we're really not, because we also, had the ability to, let ourselves out at any time, kind of like, Dorothy and the ruby slippers, when she finally realizes she had the power to go home the whole time and nothing was keeping her from doing that. So it's that kind of energy. And I feel like that there's something where the second half of February, a lot of you are learning something about releasing from a pattern or patterns. And I feel like it's going to be regarding relationships around you, because remember, with your North Node in Libra in the 7th house, I mean, Libra rules like harmonious relationships of all sorts. And it's one of the things that could be very difficult, like life lesson for North Nodes in Libra or the 7th house. But let's look at your timeline cards and we'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Page of Pentacles upright. You've got the 2 of Cups reversed, and you've got the 3 of Swords reversed. One of the things to keep in mind is with your life path, you're here to do everything that is 7th house and Libra in a positive way. What is that? It's creating harmony in your life and in your relationships, creating diplomacy. And the thing that's difficult about this is that it's kind of like when you see two people, we've seen this in our own lives and other people's lives. We also have seen it portrayed in movies and books where, two parties or two people are at odds with each other, right? But for some reason, maybe there's a mediator involved, or maybe they just realize, let's not fight anymore, and they come together and they meet and they shake hands, right? That's the kind of energy that you are here to create. Now, the difficult part of that is that when you have the South Node that you do, which is in Aries and or the first house, it's difficult because your natural inclination is to, to win, right? And not to kind of give in. And so it feels very like you're losing strength when you say, I'm sorry, or when you give in. And so it's like, it's very important in this lifetime. It doesn't mean you never have to go to battle with things and situations and people in your life, but you really have to think like, okay, can I take the road of getting along, of seeking harmony and balance, of diplomacy, as opposed to, this is the way it is, and this is my belief in that type of a situation. Okay. And so that's what I think we're talking about here. Now, the Page of Pentacles is interesting. We're going to talk about that along with this 2 of Cups here. As I said before, I feel like the second half of February, you're learning to break through the energy of relationships in your life that might be problematic. Okay, so that could be at work or career, it could be with family members, it could be with friends, it could be with your significant others. Okay, for each of you, it's going to be different, but it's about looking at relationships. How can we get along? Okay. And the thing about getting along, this this card kind of explains it all. One of the things that's interesting about the Two of Cups, where a lot of readers kind of miss this, is yes, this is about, the meeting of two people together, coming together in, heartfelt connection. Okay. But the thing that about this card that's interesting is these are two very, very different people. Okay. They're different polarities. You have the one person that is in these, white flowy robes with a sky blue tunic and a leaf, a laurel leaf or wreath around their head, right? And the other person is wearing, yellow and black tunic with a red band around their head. Okay, what this is not random. Okay, this is showing that people that are very, very different people with different ideas, different belief systems, whatever their differences, can meet together. And it's easy to get along with people who see our everything that we see the same way, who have our exact same, beliefs, who tell us we're right all the time. I mean, that's easy to get along with. The difficult thing is, and this is North Node in Libra or the seventh house, is to get along with people that have great differences with us. Okay. So that's what this card is talking about. Now, the Page of Pentacles is saying that what's going to happen is you're going to start to see the value in that. Okay, pentacles are value. And what you have to do is see that, okay, even though I feel like I want to be right all the time, or I want to win all the time, or I don't want to give in this argument, or whatever the case may be, you begin to see the value in, like maybe I can be the first one to say, I'm sorry, or to kind of admit when I'm wrong, or to take the initiative, even if you're not wrong, to seek harmony. You can see the value in kind of doing that. Now, what ends up happening when you kind of go down this road is the real value is that it heals relationships. Because look, everybody that has a North Node in Libra and or the seventh house, I guarantee you, every single client that has had this, everyone I've talked to that's had this, has relationships in their past and even present that have blown up. Okay. And that are, there's like people in situations, there could be like grudges being held. Okay. So everyone has that has this North Node. But it's time to heal that. Now, does that mean that you have to 100% give in to everybody? No, you don't want to go the opposite direction and go to the dark side of Libra where you give up all your power. But we're talking about a balance here. It's about seeking harmony and seeking diplomacy when you can, okay, when it's possible. And usually it's more times than not, okay? Now let's look at your advice cards here. So you've got the Five of Wands and you've got the Nine of Pentacles reversed. So the Five of Wands is pretty self-explanatory. This is a card of like conflict. All of the five cards are problematic when they're in their upright state. So, I feel like this is going to come about where this could be something that's an ongoing conflict with somebody or some situation, or it could be something that's new. And what you want to do in that is realize that if you are seeking diplomacy, okay, and if you're seeking, I'm going to kind of be the bigger person, or I'm going to take the high road, I'm going to seek, a peaceful resolution and like shake hands, hug it out. Okay, when you seek that, it actually is going to give you the life and the serenity that you want. But what it's going to seem like, and this is what I always say with this, is it is very counterintuitive, because for you North Nodes in Libra or the seventh house, when you give in or when you seek a peaceful resolution, it doesn't feel right, okay? Because it's that driving force of that South Node in Aries of the first house. But just know that when you do, overcome those feelings of, I gotta handle this, I gotta take this on, I gotta pick up my sword and go for this. When you seek peaceful resolutions, it will lead to a better, more like resonant situation for your life moving forward, okay? Even though it doesn't feel like that at the time. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you like to show the channel some love by checking out my members-only videos, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Queen of Pentacles. And when I saw this card, I knew immediately it was talking about your South Node in Taurus and or the 2nd house, okay, your South Node. And, you know, all of the Pentacles rule the earth signs, Taurus and the 2nd house among them. And I think that the second half of February, you're going to find out that there are some patterns and ways of being that maybe are keeping you stuck, and they have to do with your South Node in Taurus. Okay, so we're going to explore this. And there's some things that want to be like changed, okay? Because all of us have this South Node character, okay? Myself included, everybody, that keeps coming up throughout our life. We just have to get used to, when it comes up, recognizing it and then saying, okay, not today, South Node. We're going to like do something different. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. It's about pattern recognition and about recognizing, not falling into these old patterns. Because as I always say, our South Node tendencies never go away. We just have to get better at kind of overcoming them and recognizing them. So let's look at your timeline card. So you've got the, the 5 of Pentacles reversed. You've got the 4 of Cups upright. And you've got the 2 of Cups upright. So what I can see here, what is going on here? Okay, there is a lot of you have felt this for a long time. When you have this North Node in Scorpio, it or the 8th house, what can happen a lot of times is it feels like you feel like you're being forced throughout your life to like partner up with people, because one of the gifts that you have in your South Node is this gift of, most of you have, of like hard work and independence and like being fiercely independent, and like, I don't want to like have to ask anybody for anything type of a thing, like not feeling like you need people. Okay, that's one of the shadow aspects of a South Node in Taurus or the 2nd house, is that feeling of like, I don't want to have to rely or feel like I need people. I want to be independent. I want to be the one that is always kind of giving. Okay, this is one of the aspects of Taurus. And even though that's a gift, in this lifetime, you're being thrown into situations where you need other people, and you need other people in situations. Okay, and that's what this 5 of Pentacles is saying right here, reversed, is because all of the 5 cards, when they're reversed, are positive. And so it's saying, like, you know, you can see these people here are, you know, injured, they're trudging through the snow, they have tattered clothes, and they could see that there's this like warm glowing window of a building. It could be a church, it could be someone's home, or something. It's a refuge is the point, right? And we need to seek refuge in life a lot of times, especially you North Nodes in Scorpio or the 8th house, right? You know, it's like that old song, we all need somebody to lean on. Okay, that's one of your theme songs in this lifetime. And so, but it feels weird because you don't, for you, it doesn't feel like, I just want to like do it myself, and I don't want to feel like I need people. Okay. Now the 4 of Cups here is showing that what can result from this is, when you are constantly trying to do things on your own, and you don't like to rely on other people or seek help from other people, one of the things that can happen is you miss things and miss opportunities. You can see that we could focus on the wrong things in life that are not really, there's something else that is we're trying to be, is trying to be shown to us, okay, that we're missing. And so the result is that we could feel like kind of like out of sync with our life, or not, and things aren't quite right. And so this is what I'm saying. There's an emotional component that this second half of February, and I feel like even before that, you're being shown by the universe, is where you're being shown like this is a good thing, this is a strength, because I'll tell you why. You have the Two of Cups here, right? Obviously, this is, two people meeting at a heart level, at an emotional level, and you could see that these two people are, you know, they're equals, meaning that they're both standing, in a similar position. Away, their cups are equal. Everything is equal, and what ends up happening is when we allow people to and allow situations, when we allow people in life to help us, and we allow to partnership with other people, we're giving them the gift of you know, being able to give of themselves, and it's interesting because, you know, one of the things I knew someone who was a double Taurus, and it was interesting because she had this thing where she was a super, like, she had a double Taurus sun and I think moon. But one of the things about her is that she did have this independence, and she was very like loving and giving, but it was very hard for her to receive. It's like she didn't feel right, or like I have to always be the one giving. And so you would give her a gift and it would always be like she didn't like to accept that. And what that does is when we don't allow ourselves to be helped by the universe, by those around us, we're robbing them of the opportunity to give. You know what I mean? Where it feels good for people to give of themselves and all of that. Okay, so this is one of the main things that you're working on in this lifetime, is to partner up, and it really it feels very vulnerable. I know. Now let's look at your advice cards. You've got the Eight of Swords reversed, and you've got the Tower card upright. So the Eight of Swords reversed, this is about, this part of your thinking is going to change. And over time, you're going to start to realize this, that, okay, my way of thinking that I always have to be independent and don't, want to accept help from anybody else, or, advice, or whatever the case may be, is kind of like a mental trap. And so you're learning to slowly release that and say, you know what, I can still have independence, and I can have all that, but I can also accept things from other people. Now, sometimes I hear from people that have this North Node, and they say like, well, I don't get enough help from people. Okay. And that happens on occasion, because that might mean that sometimes you go too far in to your North Node, because there is a balance. There is such a thing as going, you go so far into your North Node. And I've seen this, and this isn't as uncommon as you'd think, where they actually go into the shadow side of their North Node, and so that would be Scorpio, the negative side of Scorpio, or the eighth house, where they can't function by themselves. Okay, so there's things where, but most of the time, people that have this North Node in Scorpio have an issue with like needing to be fiercely independent. But if it's the opposite, maybe you need to rethink, like, okay, maybe I do need to be more independent. So there's like a balance here. Now the Tower card, it's nothing to fear. All of the so-called scary cards, the Tower card, ruled by the planet Uranus, is about, some sort of an awakening, right? And when we awaken to certain parts of our life, we can move on from there when we see things more clearly. So I think that there's a clarity that's coming. I think that each of you is going to have a lot of clarity, especially as we have this month. We have on the 27th, Mars squared Uranus. I think there's going to be a lot of clarity that's going to be coming up for all of us in different ways, like wake-up calls. All of us need wake-up calls in certain aspects of our life. And so go with it. And then this can be a huge, like, kind of learning thing as you kind of refine yourself and become the highest version of yourself. So it's all good, and it's all positive. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership program with member exclusive videos, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Knight of Pentacles upright. And you know, all of the knights are cards of movement because they're on horses. But the most steady and slowest of all the knights, in a positive way, it's very stabilizing, is the Knight of Pentacles. And I feel like there are aspects of your life that are trying to kind of balance out and to become solidified and to become solid and on a firm foundation. Okay, there's aspects, but again, we're talking about movement, so it could be like a slowing of movement. One of the things that you see when you have a North Node in Sag or the 9th house is that South Node energy from Gemini or the 3rd house. It could be very kind of like all over the place, like, you know, I'm going to take this class, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like very kind of frenetic type energy. And I feel like there's this stabilization that's coming in multiple aspects of your life and your life in general, where it's going to be moving forward at a more kind of steady, gradual pace, which is positive. Let's look at your timeline. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the 9 of Wands reversed. You've got the Emperor card upright, and you've got the 7 of Pentacles upright. So this 9 of Wands, you know, reversed, is that a lot of you are starting to see and recognize patterns in your life, and patterns that, like, you know, we need to change. Like when we have pattern recognition in our life, that's how we break patterns that are negative. Okay, and I see you breaking some negative patterns the second half of February, even if it's at a small scale, with saying, like, you know, maybe I'm going to do kind of something different. And the way I see it happening, which is interesting, is you've got this Emperor card here, and I think how the pattern is going to be recognized by you is through some sort of an authority figure in your life. Now, when I talk about authority figures, we obviously know the obvious ones, which the Emperor and the Empress, for that matter, okay, it can mean, you know, parental figures. They can mean, you know, bosses, supervisors. They can mean teachers, professors, even like government officials. These are authority figures, right? But this card goes beyond that, because it also talks about people that are very important in our life. They are authority figures, right? So like even our significant others, it could be, you know, close family members, even friends, right? The reason that they're authority figures is not that they're over us in authority. It means that we give them a lot of authority. Like we should have people that are significant others, our spouses, they should be authority figures to us, right? We should care what they think and feel, and what their views are, right? And so that's why I call them authority figures. So this pattern recognition is going to come about through one of these relationships that you have with authority figures in your life. And, you know, as I said, it could be a traditional authority figure, like maybe a boss or a supervisor. For each of you, it'll be different, but it's going to be someone who, like, you kind of essentially care what they think. Because obviously, like if we have a career, we care what our supervisors think, right? Otherwise we wouldn't be there, right? We might not agree with them, but we care what they think, right? And so that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about authority figures. Now, the thing about this is that this stabilization is going to come, and it's going to come through your patience. One of the key words that you're really trying to embody in this lifetime for you North Nodes in Sag or the 9th house is to cultivate patience. Because a lot of you naturally, with your quick minds, your clever minds, your communication, everything is boom, 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 right? There could be a lot of times that, you know, you struggle with patience. being patient with situations and people. And this is saying that I think the pattern recognition and what you're learning is you're learning again to stabilize your life through patience. That not everything, is going to happen quickly. Remember, your south node in Gemini or the third house is ruled by Mercury. Boom, 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 everything fast, okay? Quick communication, quick this, quick that, right? And that's positive. Everything is a positive and a negative depending on how it plays out. But not everything is supposed to be so quick and fleeting in our life. There is something to be said with patience. And so essentially that's like kind of the pattern that you're going to realize is that, yeah, you know what? Sometimes if I hold back, if I don't say that thing, if I don't do that thing, if I think things through, there's going to be a positive in my life. Okay. And that's this stabilization. One of the things, as I said, with communication, some of the things that the North nodes in, Sagittarius or the ninth houses, they might, and I know you've all can relate to this, like saying something, whether it be verbally or on an email or in a text that you kind of later regret or it backfired on you. Okay. That's what I'm saying is like, be patient, sit with something for a minute. You don't have to immediately, Mercury fly to it. You can like sit with it and be patient because there's a wisdom in that. Now, your two advice cards are you've got the Chariot card reversed and you've got the King of Pentacles reversed. So the Chariot, again, we're seeing this is a card of movement. But the thing about the Chariot is in order for it to move forward and steady, it has to be balanced, because you can see that the polarity of balance is being brought out here by the black and the white Sphinx, which is talking about polarity. Okay. So what essentially is going on with you in your life right now with this is it's a balancing things that need to be imbalanced, because there are aspects of your life, whoever this person is that's an authority figure, if it hasn't been going in the direction you want, this is what needs to be balanced in order to move forward. Like it's about cultivating patience and, making the right moves as opposed to impulsively going down a certain road. Okay. So that's what is going to straighten out this Chariot and have it move forward, is balancing. So that's one of the things that's happening. And then this King of Pentacles, again, is pointing to the fact that this is really getting you to something of value. The King of Pentacles rule everything of value. And this skill that you, when you can learn to cultivate this patience, and you can learn to listen to other people and think things through and not react right away, you're really cultivating a great skill. And so you're going to realize that this is something that's of value. And when you're able to do that, this value goes directly to your life, and you can start to see positive results in your life right away. And so that's all this is. Whatever comes up for you that could be this like kind of situation with another person who's an authority figure in your life, think it through. Don't react impulsively. Don't mentally try to go down something. Be truthful and honest with yourself, and be patient with the situation, and you're going to find that it's going to pay off and really add value to your life. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by supporting my membership-only videos, there's going to be some links in the description box below. So with that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Eight of Cups. And when I saw this card, there is something for each of you. There's something in your life emotionally that you're being asked to make sense of that doesn't quite like sit with you perfectly or make sense to you, and you're being asked to kind of revisit it and really like make sense of it once and for all before you can kind of move on. I think we've all experienced that sometimes where there's something that happens in our life, and sometimes we can make sense of something and kind of like say, okay, I understand that. We put it to rest. Other times we, for whatever reason, can't or don't do that, don't make sense of something. And so we just kind of like shelve it and just say whatever. And we move on anyway, but it's kind of like always there. So it could be like some sort of an emotional wound that happened or something that happened in our life and that just doesn't make sense, but we just kind of like put it aside, but it never goes away because it needs to be like looked at. Okay. And so I think that the second half of February, you're being asked to look at something and really kind of understand it on an emotional level before you can really kind of move forward. Okay. Now for each of you, it's going to be different, but let me we'll look at the timeline to get a little bit more clarity here. So on your timeline cards, you've got the 10 of Swords reversed. You've got the Knight of Swords reversed, and you've got the 9 of Pentacles upright. So this, 10 of Swords reversed here. There is, I think that the wounding that we're talking about here, or something you need to make sense of emotionally, was some sort of an ending that happened in your life. Now, this could have been the ending of a relationship with a significant other that, didn't make sense. This could be an ending of a friendship. It could be an ending of a situation within a job. Okay. So all of these things, but it's some sort of an ending that was difficult, but it didn't quite and doesn't quite make sense to you. Like you never really fully understood like why it happened and all of the particulars within the situation. And you moved on from it, but you're being asked to kind of look at it. And I think that this is going to resurface in some way, shape, or form. This old kind of like ending or wounding of some sort is going to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an ending. As I said, it could be some sort of a wounding that you haven't made sense of. It's going to come up, and it maybe already has for some of you. And so, already early in February, but it's coming back into your consciousness, and you're being asked to make a sense of it. Now, the Knight of Swords reversed is saying like your initial reaction when this resurfaces is to like get away as quickly as possible, because the Knight of Swords upright is saying like, okay, we're out of here, we're moving forward, right? But when it's reversed, it's saying hold your horses. It's like, whoa, like don't leave too quickly. You're being asked to like not just let this go again, but you're here to look at it and where it's going, and the possibility for this. And this is the positive, by kind of diving into this more and understanding it, which I'll tell you how to do that momentarily. This is where it can end up, with the Nine of Pentacles, with you really enriching your life in some way. Like this is a really kind of big skill for you to learn in this lifetime, which is when you can fully make sense of emotional situations that are going on in your life and that have gone on in your life, like make sense of them, categorize them in your mind, like say, okay, this is why this happened. When you can make sense of them, it really adds a value to your life and gives you this serenity like nothing else can. Because when we have a bunch of these things that we just kind of file away, we think, oh, they're tucked away deep inside of our mind and in our emotions, and they're fine. We put them down in the attic of ourselves, and we just like forget about them, and they're gathering dust. But they're always kind of there, and they will continue to resurface until we kind of really make sense of them. Now, how do we make sense of them? Okay, so you've got your two advice cards. You've got the Queen of Pentacles and you've got the Six of Pentacles. The first aspect here is the Queen of Pentacles is standing in your own self-worth and in your strength and in who you are, your truth. This is valuing yourself for who you are as a person, because this may a lot of these woundings involve like possibly, getting your self-esteem or, self-worth, like wounded, right? And so number one thing, the way we make sense of it is ask yourself, okay, like really, who are you? What do you bring to the table in life? All of us have a lot of gifts that we don't really realize that we have. What do I mean by that? I think we've all known people. So let's take another person as an example. We all have known people that they're like really good people, and they have they might be creative, they might be funny, but for some reason they don't have a lot of self-worth and self-esteem, and we can't understand it. We're like, why don't you feel better about yourself? You are an amazing person. We've all met someone like that, right? And so what that is that this is about, there could be some of you that in these situations don't give yourself enough credit. And so one of the ways to deal with this, and I've helped clients with this, is that sometimes we need to stop and say, okay, we're not perfect people. None of us are. Okay, we realize that. But like mentally make a list or even make a physical list. Like, what do you bring, to life that's positive? Maybe you are a, super like understanding, giving person. You give of yourself and your time. Maybe, you are, creative and compassionate. Like list all the things, even minor things. Like I have a sense of humor. Sometimes it's good for us to, like take stock of our positive qualities, because we're taught in this world it's egotistical to think of yourself in a positive way. But no, like really sit there and if you can't answer, like if you can't like say what makes you a person worthy of love, a worthy of someone else's time, that's something where okay, I need to like explore that. If you can't answer those questions, like what makes you a person worthy of anything, and a lot of times we don't take the time to do that, right? So I think that that's one of the things that can come out, is to realize in this healing process, is realize that all of you have really, really positive things that you bring to the table, you bring to life, and you need to understand those. Now, the second aspect of kind of, healing these older like wounds that are coming up is through this Six of Pentacles. And what this is that this is using the strength of our compassion and understanding. You could see here that this person is, yes, this is a card of charity. He's giving coins to these people that are in need, right? But this doesn't only mean like, physical coins. This could mean like cutting people slack in the grace of like, they did this and they didn't know better because, like, for example, I've used this example before. Like, let's take when someone rescues a dog. Okay, so a dog's in a shelter and maybe they weren't cared for very properly, right? And when the new owners take them home, these really great people that do this, they show them love, and it takes time, and they don't blame the dog for maybe being kind of, a little bit aggressive and mean at first, right? Because of their background, right? Now, I know that we're talking about like a dog situation, but people are like that too. People that have been mistreated and abused, that had a really bad upbringing, even though it doesn't excuse them from all, negative actions, sometimes when we can have compassion and say, well, they came from this kind of a situation, or they were taught this way, and so you cut them a little slack and grace, and you give them, and that doesn't mean forever and ever and ever. It means that you can work with them, just like working with, I call them rescue people. Okay, so that could be one of the things. So the situation that you were in, that was like negative, that was some sort of an ending, maybe they were coming from a bad place. But these are just things of how we can kind of work with this energy. And when you do this, it's a extremely powerful thing to do, when we're able to like give people a little bit of, grace, and cut them some slack because they might have come from a really bad place. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by supporting my membership only video program, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the Five of Swords reversed. Now, all of the five cards in their upright state are kind of challenging cards, but when they're reversed, they're in their more positive state. And when I saw this card, I knew exactly what it was talking about, because one of the things about you North Nodes in Aquarius or the 11th house is because of your South Node in Leo in the 5th house, a lot of you have like, just like Leos, you have like a natural charisma, and you have this kind of like almost like a star quality. Okay, a lot of you do, because you're, creative, you could be funny, you could be talented. A lot of everyone that has like a South Node in Leo or the 5th house has some sort of like talents, right? Now, the thing that can happen is this can cause a lot of jealousy and envy throughout your life. And I know, everybody that I talk to that has this North Node has experienced this. Like, you're just going about your business, being, a good person or whatever, and just living your life. And all of a sudden, like, people are like, they're envious of you for like no really fault of your own. And it's because of this natural quality that you have. Remember, your South Node is ruled by the sun, right? The life giver. So, you have this natural shine. Now, the interesting thing, I think that this is going to come up at least one time in the next 2 weeks, and how we handle it as North Nodes in Aquarius or the 11th house is really interesting, because it's a skill that we definitely need to master as soon as possible when we have this North Node. So let's get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline cards. So you've got the Nine of Pentacles reversed. You've got the Death card upright. And you've got the Queen of Wands reversed. Okay, I'll start with the Death card, right? So as I always say on my channel, the so-called scary cards in the tarot deck are nothing to fear. We're talking about archetypal energies, not literal, right? Because when we look at the so-called scary card, death, the devil, the tower, okay? We're not talking about a literal tower blowing up, okay? We're not talking about literal death, and we're not talking about a literal demon or devil. These are archetypal energies that we deal with. So what is death? As I always say, it's about something that we need to change in our life, about ourselves or our situation. Something, in order to be born, has to die. So in order to start something new, sometimes old parts of our life, have to die. So what wants to die here is our reaction to negativity and jealousy and criticism, everything that this Five of Swords is talking about, anything that is of a negative nature that can wound us. Because as a South Node in Leo or the 5th house, you wear your heart on your sleeve, okay? You're very open-hearted people, and that can leave you vulnerable. So what wants to transform here is our reaction to it. Now, why does this happen? Okay, so let's look at these two cards here. You've got the Nine of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the Queen of Wands reversed, okay? The reason for this is, starting with the Nine of Pentacles, is because of all of, even if you don't even have to be wealthy, right? But just your life is to other people because of how you shine and your charisma and your talents, anything, even if it's just like a sense of humor, you don't even have to have that much in life, can cause envy and jealousy with people around you. Okay, it's just one of the things that comes with, and I call it like star quality, right? If you talk to anybody that's a famous, you know, uh, actor or musician, okay, they have to deal with a lot of envy and jealousy. They talk about it, like when they all of a sudden first got famous, there were people that treated them differently in their life, and they hadn't changed. They were the same person, but this envy comes up, and it's really weird if you've, and I know I'm talking to you now, and I know you've experienced this, where it's like, it feels weird, like people just get super envious and they start mistreating you for no reason, right? And it's because of they perceive you because you have all these beautiful things inside you, right? And even as I said, even if it doesn't seem outwardly like you have a lot, you do. That's what you exude, right? And then this the same thing with this Queen of Wands reversed is this is about, this natural shine, this you are inspiring to people naturally. People gravitate toward you naturally, and you just have this something inside you. Even people that aren't like super social just have this kind of quality, within them. And so that's the reason why this happens, and that's what this card is saying. So what are you supposed to do with this when this happens? And this is what you're learning and what you need to transform. So your advice cards are, you've got the Hierophant reversed and you've got the Two of Cups reversed. The number one thing is to realize that you want to detach emotionally. That's one of the skills you're learning through your North Node, is not taking everything so personally all the time. Being able to emotionally detach. So when your emotions get dinged, it's not like you deny them, but what you do is you are able to detach and you're able to look at it from a higher standard. And see, the Hierophant here, one of the things that it's talking about the higher mind. It could be, a more spiritual person. It could be, a teacher or professor, or, it's essentially higher mind, functioning is one of the things that the Hierophant talks about. And so when it's reversed here, it's saying that when you do this, when you're able to, take things that are going on around you and detach from them emotionally and separate yourself, you're literally tapping into this higher mind, and it's a huge skill to get. I think we've all seen this. Have you ever seen where, there's two people, like, let's say, going at it in a debate or verbally, right? And one person starts to get super personal and, gets kind of starts playing dirty in a way. And then you see this other person. I know we've all witnessed this, where they just kind of like, they take the higher road and, kind of detach slightly and say, really, and they separate themselves from that, taking that lower road. Okay, so that's one of the things this is saying, is detaching. And then the second thing is that when you're able to do this, you're able to connect to people at a more heart level, but also realize that one of the things that can happen when we have this North Node um, in Aquarius, or the 11th house, is we can forget that, other people also have talents and gifts. And so one of the things we can do is, if someone starts to get like envious and jealous, you could start pointing out the positive things that they have. Hopefully they have some positive, but maybe they have talents and things. And so you bring the focus on them and say, well, what about you? You have this and this that's positive, and you can kind of point those aspects out to that person. Bring the spotlight away from you and put it on them. That's one of the ways you can deal with like envious people or jealous people, right? And when you do that, it can be, very, very positive. But anyway, this is something that all of us that have this North Node, and by the way, I've got my North Node in the 11th house. Okay, so this is something that I'm well aware of. All of us need to learn to do this, to deal with this envy and jealousy, and be able to redirect it and make other people, important also, and not let it kind of wound us, but kind of rise above and detach. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership only program, there's going to be some links down below. With that, I will say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house. Okay, the theme card that popped out for you is the Knight of Pentacles upright. And when I saw this card, I immediately was thinking about, your South Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. And, I think that this is, I feel like all of you are embarking on a new phase of life. Now, why do I say that? Because, for a while, your ruling planet for your North Node, Neptune, um, has been in the home sign of Pisces, right? And so this was like, you know, feeding all sorts of things. It was like energizing that Pisces aspect. And now, with Neptune moving to Aries, you're on this new path now. Okay, so, but what this is saying is that you want to, as you're moving forward, in this month and then in the rest of the year, you want to move forward methodically, but you definitely want to move. Like you want to take actions, but you want to take more methodical actions, and like like kind of take stock in what have you learned in the past several years about yourself and about your life, and kind of like moving forward. It's kind of like when we're getting ready for an actual journey, we make preparations, and then when we go, we're not just like, someone just doesn't say, okay, I'm going to go here. Okay, jump on a plane or jump in the car and go. Like there's some sort of preparation, like understanding where you're going and why you're going there, and that type of a thing. So you're at this kind of new phase with this Aries energy, with Neptune being in Aries, and what that means is this: it's a very kind of polarizing energy, because at the one hand you've got the planet Neptune, which is the planet of dreams and inspiration and spirituality and cosmic consciousness, with now in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, which is very kind of cut and dry, and tell me everything that I need to know right now. So it's an interesting kind of combination. So there's a balancing that's going on, is what I'm trying to say, and you have to allow yourself time to kind of ease into this energy as you're moving forward. Now we'll get some more clarity. We'll look at the timeline here. So you've got the Moon card upright. You've got some Empress energy here. You've got the Empress card upright. And then you've got the Death card reversed. So starting with the Moon here, okay, so there are aspects of your journey that you don't understand right now. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Because one of the things about Virgo energy, so your South Node in Virgo, or the sixth house, is you like to have all your ducks in a row. Like you like to know the path and the direction forward, and you want to have everything mapped out on GPS, and all of that, where you're going to be. There are aspects of your journey that you will be revealed to you, okay, and that you can't know everything, and so you have to be patient with that. But one of the things about this journey is, with this Empress card, and also I see you have the High Priestess over here. The Empress this is about refining and who you are as a person. This part of the journey is going to be refinement. But the other thing about this Empress card, which is ruled by Venus, you could see the planetary sigil here for Venus, is to trust your instincts, trust your heart. It's about trusting your heart over mind. That is where your real power lies when as you go forward. Because what will happen is, as this Aries energy starts, is affecting Neptune, which is your North Node planet, what ends up happening is there could be this tendency to drop back into the South Node, Virgo, the sixth house, and use your mind to figure things out. So you're being asked that, remember, this journey is, you're going to find your path through your heart, through your intuition, through your emotions, and not through trying to figure it out through your mind, okay? Now, the Death card here, as I always say, Death card is nothing to fear. All of the so-called scary cards, death, the devil, the tower, they're not talking about literal death or a tower blowing up, or the actual devil or a demon, right? These are archetypal energies. And what this is saying here is, this is about transformation. The reason it's reversed here is because this next part of the journey is a transformation process. So this is an ongoing process. That's why it's reversed here, okay? The transformation is not complete. This is you transforming on your path as a person, and it's a process, and you have to trust the process. And again, that's why the Knight of Pentacles is saying it's slow and steady movement forward, but you will be moving forward, okay? But you have to ground this energy and not move too quickly. But it is a transformational type energy, and you will be transforming. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the High Priestess reversed, and you've got the King of Swords reversed. Again, this transformational energy, where you're ending up, if you were to say one card that might kind of sum up, North Node in Pisces, or the 12th house, I would say, like, obviously, King of Cups, Queen of Cups, but especially the High Priestess. And this is part of this transformation process where you are here in this lifetime to experience transformation, to experience everything that life, has to offer, and use that as part of the building of yourself and building of your inner wisdom. Okay. And so this is a process that's going on. You're in the process of this next phase is building, but you have to first kind of settle into this Aries energy through Neptune, if that makes sense. I'm feeling like there's don't let the Aries energy kind of push you too fast forward or make you feel like you need to progress too quickly, because it's going to be this kind of slow and steady movement forward. Now, the King of Swords is, again, that's what I'm talking about not letting your mind kind of take control. And this is what can happen with this Aries energy. Because remember, Aries rules the head, okay? And then you have your, South Node in, Virgo, or the 6th house, ruled by Mercury. Okay, so we're talking about mental energy here. And it's really important that this next phase is, if you find yourself overthinking things, worrying about things, anything that has to do with overuse of the mind, put the brakes on that and say nope, and go into your heart. Like, what does your heart say without the mind? What does your intuition say? That will always lead you on the best path. And when you do that, you're going to find that you're going to be able to move forward in a more kind of settled way, and kind of avoid a lot of the chaos that, maybe other people may be feeling with this, Neptune and Aries thing. So anyway, I hope this reading is helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love by checking out my membership-only video program, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings.